Hello everybody, welcome to another video by me, Lonnie's. This video is being edited the day that it's supposed to come out. And you might be like, Lonnie, stop being so irresponsible, edit on time. I'm like, oh, guys, I'm sorry. I've been busy, I promise. I hurt my toe. That's a good excuse. But no, I edited this video very quickly, and I'm very proud of myself because I actually logged in. Like, I wasn't even fully finished writing it, on Saturday, but I finished writing it, if that makes sense. Okay, but yeah, here's this video. It's inspired by this, and it's obviously not as good, but that's kind of where I got my idea from, because I did want to make it just like how I don't think I have yet. But yeah, here it is.
Oh man, look at that! Look at the lever!
Practice had just ended, the gym was loud with echoing footsteps, chatter, the clatter of volleyballs being tossed back into baskets. Oikawa lingered near the far end of the court, trying his hardest to focus on cleanup, but his eyes kept drifting. On the other side, Iwaizumi stood by the bleachers, talking to Ayumi. Her hand was resting on his forearm. It looked too casual. Too familiar. She was laughing at something he said, leaning in just enough to make Oikawa's jaw clench. His brows were drawn tight before he even realized it, lip caught lightly between his teeth. It was a subtle thing, but the frustration was bubbling. They were just talking, he knew that. Ayumi was Iwa-chan's close friend, she'd always been. Even then, something about the way Iwaizumi let her touch linger on his arm, the way he smiled at her without thinking, made something uncomfortable twist in Oikawa's chest. He didn't even notice Matsukawa approaching until he saw a hand snapping in his face. Oikawa, you good? Oikawa blinked, startled, and his whole expression shifted in a split second. Brows smoothing, lips curling into that picture-perfect smile like nothing was wrong. I'm just prim and proper, Matsu-chan. He said breezily, letting out a soft laugh. Always. He turned quickly and resumed rounding up the stray volleyballs, shoulders tense. His thoughts were circling, he didn't know what pissed him off more, the way Iwaizumi just allowed Ayumi touch him, or the fact that it bothered him so much in the first place. Eventually, everyone filtered out. Teammates started to disappear into the locker room, the gym emptying slowly. Oikawa took his time, stretching things out under the excuse of cleaning, until only he and Iwaizumi were left. The locker room was quiet, the hum of the fluorescent lights almost too loud. Oikawa was at his locker, bag slung over one shoulder, about to leave, when he felt hands slip gently around his waist from behind. Hey! Iwaizumi said, voice low, steady, like it always was when it was just the two of them. Oikawa paused, then turned in his arms and immediately wrapped his own around Iwaizumi's neck, resting his chin on his shoulder for a brief moment. Hey, Iwa-chan. He murmured, trying not to let it sound bitter. They stood like that for a beat before walking over to the bench and sitting down side by side. Oikawa rested his head on Iwaizumi's shoulders, sighing. You're keeping your friend waiting, you know. Oikawa said lightly, eyes fixed ahead, tone unreadable. Iwaizumi let out a short laugh, glancing at him. I know what you're doing, Oikawa. Oikawa gave a half shrug, smiled again, and asked sweetly. What am I doing? I'm sorry I couldn't hang out with you tonight. It's okay, Iwa. Oikawa waved a hand, voice breezy. I'll be gone, I'll probably just do some cleaning. Iwaizumi squinted at him, clearly unconvinced. Oikawa didn't budge, just kept that perfect, effortless smile on his face, even though something in his chest still felt tight. After a pause, Iwaizumi stood and held out his hand. Oikawa looked at it, then up at him, and finally took it, standing with a soft exhale. Where are you guys going anyways? He asked, picking at the rope of his sweatpants. Iwaizumi rubbed on the back of Oikawa's hand. We were gonna go see 28 Years Later. Maybe go to an arcade, then get something to eat. Oikawa pulled his hand back and let out a dramatic sigh, lifting the back of his hand to his forehead. Ah, every girl's dream date. He said wistfully. Iwaizumi groaned, tilting his head back, still smiling. It's not a date, Oikawa. Oikawa glanced at him, that same sweet smile on his face, the kind he used when he didn't want to show what he was really thinking. I know. The room was quiet except for the soft instrumental playlist humming from his speaker. Oikawa sat on the floor of his room, his long limbs folded neatly in the butterfly pose, soles of his feet pressed together, knees almost fully touching the floor. He exhaled slowly, letting his shoulders relax and eyes drift closed. Yoga usually helped to clear his head. Stretching out his muscles, letting his thoughts untangle, pretending he wasn't crashing out over not getting an update text from Iwaizumi. Or the fact that he could still see Ayumi's hand on Iwaizumi's arm like a ghost imprint behind his eyelids every time he blinked. He pushed down on his knees lightly with his elbows, exhaling again. Be calm, and unbothered, Oikawa. Ding. His eyes flicked open. The vibration echoed on the hardwood where his phone was next to him. He reached for it lazily, his face unlocking his phone, revealing the notification. Tetsu-chan. Oikawa fell off. Oikawa punch in the air RN. One image. Oikawa's brows furrowed immediately. He knows Kyoru loves to piss him off, but with the state Oikawa's head is in, he wasn't about to ignore anything that could have to do with Iwaizumi. Oikawa fell off group chat. Picture. Oikawa punch in the air right mo. Shh. I'm doing yoga. Or are you okay? No. He said they were watching 28 Years Later and then Arcade and then Food, like if that isn't a date I don't know what is. And he said they might go to an arcade and if they don't he'll come over and we can chill Z together and he's do F Doctor up JFT. Whose idea was it? Hers. She wants your man. Thanks but I alright know that. Wait, how do you know? The proof is jabbing me in the ass. I was gonna ignore Instagram tonight but Kyoru always has to remind me of everything. Love you. You guys should come over. UHH. Oh, please Bakuto, please please please. I can't do another pose. I just can't. I need company before I break something. Lymphoa. Okay Kava. Okay we can come. I love you guys. Oikawa exited out of the messages app and set the phone face down on the floor, his eyebrows creased, jaw tightening. He bit his lip and exhaled sharply through his nose. This was fine. He stood up abruptly, leaving his phone behind as he padded his socked feet into the living room. The TV blinked on, and within seconds Oikawa was going to YouTube and put on Soyoung. He turned the volume up, maybe too loud, but it gave him something to focus on other than his own thoughts. After a few minutes, he veered into the kitchen. He figured that if he was going to spiral, he might as well do it productively. The first dish was a stir-fry, something easy, fast, cathartic you know. The second was a pasta he didn't even particularly like, but it kept his hands moving. It helped, sort of. Then he made budok noodles. He got lazy alright. He stupidly decided to put the entire spice packet knowing he was eating out of the pot until he heard a knock. Over the sound of the mukbang he took another bite until he heard the same knocks and quickly chewed and swallowed. He wiped his mouth, then hurried to the door, and pulled it open. Oikawa, hey, how you? He couldn't finish the sentence before Oikawa launched himself forward, wrapping his arms dramatically around Kyoru's shoulders and burying his face in his chest. My life is over. Oikawa moaned as Kyoru let out a low laugh, glasses slightly askew as he loosely hugged Oikawa back. It'll be fin. He paused mid-sentence, eyes shifting to the kitchen behind Oikawa. Oh. He saw 3 full meals on the stove, then he glanced at Bakuto, who was peeking around him with wide, gleaming eyes. "'Kay, he's definitely spiraling alright. Is that budok and Alfredo?" Bakuto whispered, impressed. The two of them stepped inside, closing the door behind them. Oikawa drifted behind them, walking sluggishly to his living room. They plopped down on the floor in front of the TV in a familiar little circle, legs crossed. The mukbang was still playing in the background, half forgotten. "So, tell us what really happened." Oikawa let out a deep, dramatic sigh and immediately flopped down, resting his head in Bakuto's lap, limbs heavy and tragic. His legs stretched out across Kyoru's. Kyoru didn't flinch. He just leaned back on a hand and slowly began stroking Oikawa's shin, unimpressed but affectionate. "What is this? A therapy session?" Bakuto laughed big and loud. Gosh, he loves Bakuto, and threaded his fingers through Oikawa's hair. "Maybe." Oikawa groaned. "Usually every Friday, me and Iwa-chan hang out. That's our day, you know. But yesterday he tells me he can't because his close friend asked to hang out. Kyoru and Bakuto both hummed, clearly expecting more as Oikawa sniffled. And me as most level-headed person I know I'm like, huh? Because that's our day obviously, you know? He sniffed again and let out a sharp, dramatic exhale through his mouth. Then, he gets this guilty look on his face, because he knows I'm upset, and then he's all like. Oikawa shifted his voice, deepening it to mock Iwaizumi. I know, but like, she's been a close friend of mine for so long, and I would hate to let her down. He let the sentence hang, then whipped his head up to glare at Kyoru. Like, who cares about her? Kyoru blinked. I mean, he does? Oikawa immediately kicked him in the thigh with his socked foot. I mean, I've always seen her slinking around him, but I never actually thought she'd be causing turmoil in my life. They look so freaking good together, it's almost sickening. Bakuto gave a scandalized gasp and gently smacked his Oikawa's forehead. You two look hot together too, bro. He really loves Bakuto. But she's like, perfect height for him, and nope. Kyoru grabbed Oikawa's ankles and tossed his legs off his lap. Stop all that moping, what are you actually gonna do about it? Oikawa didn't answer right away. He stared at the ceiling, face blank, lips pressed together. Then he sighed. I'm gonna lay here and rot while she makes moves on my boyfriend. Kyoru groaned. You're pathetic. I know. Oikawa whined as he got up, pulling away from them, and made his slow, dramatic exit to his bedroom. He flopped down face first on the futon like his soul had left his body. From the living room, Bakuto called out. Don't worry Oikawa. I'll eat all the food. Kyoru and Bakuto sat across from each other with their feet touching, squinting at Iwaizumi's Instagram story on the latter's phone. He turned the screen toward Kyoru, showing the photo, Iwaizumi holding a boba cup, with the girl beside him, laughing, their own drink raised just high enough to partially block their face. It does kinda look like a date. Kyoru leaned in, brows furrowing. But this is Iwaizumi we're talking about. He wouldn't cheat on him, he's in love with him. Yeah I know. Bakuto said slowly, still staring at the picture. Iwaizumi's a smart guy, but he seems almost like oblivious. And overly sweet. So, you? Kyoru snorted as Bakuto's face scrunched in, about to throw something back but a knock at the door cut him off. They both looked toward it, but Kyoru stood first, stretching his arms out above him with a low groan, and walked over and cracked it open. The man of the hour. Iwaizumi Hajime, wearing a black crewneck sweatshirt layered over a white t-shirt, paired with loose-fitting, dark jeans. He has a quarter of his drink left in hand, with his brows were drawn in confusion. What are you guys doing here? Kyoru smirked, leaning on the doorframe. How was your date, Hajime? It wasn't a date. Iwaizumi said immediately, voice flat. He stepped inside anyway, brushing past him. Kyoru and Bakuto exchanged a glance as Iwaizumi looked around. Where's Oikawa? In there rotting his life away. Bakuto said as he nodded his head toward the bedroom. Iwaizumi rolled his eyes and walked quietly down the hall. La La Land played softly from his laptop, the warm piano swelled in the background, as Oikawa sat with his knees to his chest on his futon, blanket around him, pulled up to his chin with a straight hair falling. He turned sharply when he heard the door creak open. Iwaizumi stood there, the drink still in his hand. Oikawa stood up fast, scrambling to his feet and swiping at his face in a quick motion. If you were gonna break up with me, you could've at least bought me a parting gift. He said, glaring at the boba. Iwaizumi sighed and walked in without a word. He crossed the room and dropped the drink in the trash can beside the desk. I'm not gonna break up with you. Oikawa blinked, his lips parted, and then he blurted, she likes you. Iwaizumi didn't flinch, instead he walked over to where he was and sat down cross-legged in front of him and looked up. I know. She told me. Oikawa's heart gave a weird, uncomfortable twist. And, what did you say back? Iwaizumi patted the spot in between them, gesturing for him to sit down, expression gentle. Oikawa hesitated, then walked over and squatted in front of him, legs brought to his chest with his arms around them. I told her I was dating you. Oikawa blinked fast, eyes going wide, like a startled deer, lips slightly parted. You did? Iwaizumi gave a small nod, voice quiet but sure. I knew you were upset about us hanging out, but I didn't understand why. Not really, at least, think I'm just a little slow on the uptake sometimes. Oikawa stared at him for a beat, then let out a soft, breathy laugh. Yeah you are. There was a pause, then, more quietly. I hated seeing you post her. You guys look so good together. And she's absolutely nothing like me. Exactly, Oikawa. Iwaizumi said, without missing a beat. She's nothing like you. I asked you out, and not her for a reason. I'm not gonna let what we have go for some arcade games and a drink. Oikawa's small, hesitant smile began to bloom into something bigger, brighter, something full of relief. He leaned forward suddenly, arms around Iwaizumi's neck, and they tumbled backwards onto the floor. Oikawa was on top of him, pressing kisses all over his face. Iwaizumi grinned, warmth spreading through him as he let it happen. I'm so sorry I didn't trust you. Oikawa whispered against his skin. It's okay. Iwaizumi murmured back, hands resting on Oikawa's hips. I know you get in your head sometimes. They were quiet for a moment, breathing each other in, just looking. Then Oikawa leaned in and kissed him softly on the lips, not rushed or frantic like before, just grateful.